Welcome to another Into the Multiverse, a DC Comics podcast. I'm your host, TeladiaPlays, and I'm obviously joined by my co host, Jared from Comics League. This is episode 5, buddy.
How you doing?
How we doing? Yes. I'm well. We got a lot to talk about today, so what do you want to. Let's kick it off with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, shall we?
Of course, love it.
Yes, so Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is our topic. So let me just make sure I get the marker. All right. So Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. What do we think about it? It's our review. So
I
me
love the
and
game.
I love it too. Like we got to play a co-op experience and what a co-op experience it was. Story wise. And yes, Jared was number one every time, except for that one time, but still, it was a fun experience. And Jared, tell the people about the fact of the story, like how you feel about the story and how you felt about going through the mission each time. How did you feel about it?
Well, for one thing, it was annoying seeing Lois Lane, so I just kind of have to put that in there. They put her in way too much. But it's the idea that I like the story because it's like you're playing as relatively unpowered beings going up against the gods. And it's like you get to like take them out one after another. So there was that. Adding on to the fact that apparently everyone missed that Rocksteady makes it painfully obvious that the league is not staying dead.
We're we're gonna get to that,
Yeah,
Jared.
I
We're gonna
know.
get to that. We're gonna get to that in a bit, but we want to talk like your overall thought about obviously non-spoiler first, then we're going to the spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But non-spoilery wise, what do you feel about like how do you feel the gameplay mechanics feel? How do you feel about the co-op experience?
I like how it emphasizes like the enhanced movement. Like you have to use your like your jetpack, your grapple hook, your speed force powers, and your jumping in order to like succeed in the game. So there is that. You can like go around cover and stuff. Like I was playing it last night, one of my favorite moves is that what Deadshot does. He has this move where he can like unleash like basically a cluster bomb. So what I'll do is I'll just fly straight at a group of enemies and just trigger it and then fly away like on a bombing run.
Yeah,
And that's fantastic. I also like that if you like have a sniper rifle like my character normally does, you can like take out enemies from wherever you happen to be in Metropolis. I spent like a long time last night going hunting and like taking out Brainiac drones from like 2 buildings away because I'm playing as Deadshot, so I want to role play that.
yeah, of course.
And all in all, it plays very well co-op. Like, and the thing is, not as glitchy as I thought it was going to be playing co-op. I mean, we still had issues, but
Yeah,
nowhere near as much as I thought it was going to be, particularly when we were playing crossplay.
yeah. Considering it is a cross-play game, which has definitely got like me like very excited for this stuff. It was like that's what really got me to pitch the game really was because it was co-op and the fact that I cross-play with my friends. So I was like, yeah, it's definitely a game I'm going to pick up. For me, like the gameplay was like really smooth, like especially playing as King Shark.
Is a shark.
Um, yes, he's a shark. He is a shark.
I had to.
Uh, yes, I know. But the experience I had was just like fluently. I wasn't expecting to finish the game so fast. What we did, and the the level of detail within Metropolis is so cool. Is a lot of people don't realize that for a next gen game, Suicide Squad Killer Justice League for Metropolis looks really good.
It looks amazing. And the other thing that I really like is the cycles in the world. Like
Yeah,
it has a day night cycle. So that's the first thing that I think is cool. But add on to it, it has a weather cycle. Like you could go like pouring rain as well, and it actually obscures like your vision. So it actually affects the gameplay.
Yes. And I see you got the comic in your hand, so
Yeah, because if we're gonna talk about the story, I think we should cover this a little bit.
yeah. So before we hop into the spoiler side of it, is there anything else we want to add for non-spoilery or
The characters play very well. My one critique is I would have liked it if not everyone had guns.
yeah?
However, it still plays well because it would be bad if all the guns were available to all the characters, but they at least made it so like King Shark and Harley. For some reason, Harley can use like a minigun, which seemed kind of stupid. But at least they made it so like not all the guns are available to all the characters.
Okay. Okay, so let's go spoilery, shall we? Shall we?
Yes.
And let's talk about the ones that everyone's been talking about, which is the Justice League.
Which I liked all the voice actors of the Justice League members. I think that.
But but the comic, you say you're gonna talk about the
Oh
comic.
yeah, yeah. So let's start with that. So basically, what the comic is, because on our stream, Pika brought up why is King Shark in like Arkham Asylum? They're not like insane or something like that. This explains it. So what happens that after Arkham Knight, Amanda Waller and the U.S. government took over Arkham Asylum, rebuilt it, significantly upped the security because little did everyone else know Amanda Waller was trying to build her Suicide Squad. So it's like Batman Returns, pun intended. And he's
Yeah.
like scouting through the new asylum. We see like Victor Zaz, and he gets killed by King Shark biting his head off.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically what this is it's Batman emphasizing that, yeah, I'll always be here and the Justice League will always be there. And then it cuts to like during the game where they're like, what happened to the Justice League always being here? And it's like
So
they essentially activate the Suicide Squad, in other words. So it's really explaining the origins of the Suicide Squad in the Arkham universe.
essentially, yes. But you get a cool thing with the comic too. So you get like a trinket, I believe, and
It's a
it's,
Zaz doll that you can hang on your gun.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Uh, so let's talk about the Justice League, shall we? Itself.
Yes. So approaching this, honestly, I had like a bad first impression because a lot of people were saying that the Justice League would disrespect it. So I went in being a little cautious, but as I started playing it, I like the idea of the way Rocksteady wrote these characters is I like how it's like still them, but just evil versions of them. In other words, so, like they still felt like Superman, Batman. Plus the fact I liked where you could see Batman watching you as you played the game. It's kind of like in SpongeBob SquarePants where Patrick is like, he's watching me menacingly. I felt that was like really cool the way they did it.
Of course, yes.
Now, see the thing, and I also liked all the little Easter eggs they put in there. Like you could. The other thing I like, what I discovered last night, all the areas that you unlock in the game, like the Batcave, the Daily Planet, and such, you can go back to those locations even after you beat the story. So it's not like they're walled off. Like that was a problem with Arkham Knight, is that some of the areas were walled off afterwards. Like you could only access them for the duration of the story, and then you couldn't hang out there anymore. Now you can.
I think as well, like during the story, it was weird. It was cool to see Batman stalking us.
Yeah, that was like the scariest thing in the world, particularly the part in the art and the Batman experience where it's basically a predator room, but in reverse. We're the
Yeah,
ones being hunted by Bat, and we're both being whittled down one by one. And I'm like, this sucks in a good way.
but it's not only that though, Jared. It's not only that, but like even in open world, he
Mm-hmm.
was looking at us.
Yeah, menacingly, and I'm like, it was. And what's cool is that if you shot him or noticed him, he would like smoke bomb
It's like
away, and then
smoke bomb.
I
Yeah,
also like it because Conroy clearly had fun playing evil Batman, so I really
of
like
course.
that.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the boss fights.
which
Shall we
felt
talk?
really, really, really cool. I very much liked the way each one felt, because obviously they took full advantage of each of the Justice League's powers. Like Superman was really fast and flew around everywhere. Flash created tornadoes. Green Lantern created constructs. And I know Teladia and I had a
Yes.
lot of issues with that Superman boss fight.
Well, we'll save Superman for last, but let's talk about the Flash one because he was the first one up.
And I like how we lure him out by doing a selfie video on social
Yeah,
media.
that was fun. That was pretty cool. What was it was easy. I think the Flash fight was pretty easy.
That was the easiest one, I think.
Yeah, that was the easiest one. Yeah. Green Lantern obviously was a pretty fun fight. Green
That was
Lantern.
really fun. I like that one. Batman was brutal.
Yes, the Batman one. Oh my God,
Because, yes, the Nightmare Batman fight was pretty easy. All you had to do was shoot him. But the part to get to that was the tough part.
that's the tough part. Yeah, the fear toxin. Because there is, yes, guys, Batman uses fear toxin to try and prey on us.
Well, they tease that at the end of Arkham Knight as well. So it's kind of explaining what that scene was. Then we
Yeah.
add in the Superman fight, which previous to that, by the way, that entire scene is dope. But I love the part where Superman first shows up and then Boomerang's like, "Yeah, go Superman." Oh crap, it's Superman.
Yeah. I'm
But
just like,
mm,
the like the voice acting is so good in this. Kevin Conroy played really well as Superman, sorry, Batman. Uh, Nolan North really knocked it out the park as Superman in the
because
Arkhamverse, I think.
he did Superman and Young Justice, I think. The Wonder
Yes.
Woman voice actress was fantastic. I also love, so she calls him Cal all the time, and then just that stare that they had when she first shows up, and the way Clark's face kind of changes, like he's remembering her, but he's still under Brainiac's control. It's really, really, really cool the way they did that. And plus, if you notice, Teladia, and I noticed this during our stream when we were doing that scene, you could see them fighting throughout the city as you're escorting Waller, and you can kind of feel the vibrations of the ground as ships are being thrown at each other. It's really, really cool the way they do it. And that's the other thing. Speaking of the environments change as you go throughout the game, so it's a little more dynamic as opposed to it just being a city.
hmm Plus, as well, I was gonna bring this up. Like, for each boss fight, there was an individual anti, like, anti equipment you could use for the boss fight.
So essentially, you had to resort to prep time in order to fight the Justice League.
Yeah, for example, the negative speed force, I think it is called, or something like that, to stop the Flash. The,
Yeah, the Sinestro Core Power Battery to fight Green Lantern, and
oh,
the
okay.
Gold Kryptonite to fight Superman.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the fact that very everyone's gonna be talking about. We'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. But why do you think that this story is really done really well?
Well, because it's essentially a story of impossible odds and people overcoming impossible. Because realistically, the Suicide Squad should not be able to kill the Justice League.
Yeah.
Realistically, that wouldn't happen. But it's cool to see it. Plus, as we'll bring up later in the episode, nothing is as it seems. So I'm not buying that the League is dead. Plus, it's kind of cool. You even see Wonder Woman start to gain a little more respect for the squad as time progresses. So I really like that.
Okay. Yeah. So we're still on the um, Justice League Suicide Squad conversation. Let's bring up why we think it's not the real Justice League in Suicide Squad. Kill the
Well,
Justice League.
well, for one thing, they yeah. So the first thing is, and you brought this up when we were seeing the Superman fight. I'm going to bring this up first. When Superman is hit with gold kryptonite, he kind of has purple blood.
Yes.
And I'm like, And it's backed up by the fact that when you see the veins on every member of the Justice League's eyes, it's purple, not red or something like that. So I'm like, well, that's odd. Adding on to the fact that Brainiac always teleports the bodies away when you defeat each member of the Justice League. Adding on to the fact that when you kill Green Lantern, the Green Construct helicopters don't go away and the characters comment on it. And then Superman does not react to kryptonite the right way because remember, Wonder Woman stabs him in the chest with a giant ass shard of kryptonite and it doesn't kill him. She even pushes it deep into his chest. Nothing happens. She even says, that should have killed him. And then when Lex Luthor kidnaps Batman, or when we kidnap Batman for Lex Luthor, Lex goes, their DNA has been altered like severely. Then finally, when we fight Brainiac, he goes, you've killed my Justice League. So those are like many of the signs, but there was even a more recent one. If you look at, there are these calendars that are scattered throughout Gotham that's supposed to represent like Calendar Man. Now, the thing about it is there's a certain date highlighted on each calendar, highlighted by a bat symbol. Then when you arrange them and give them each a letter based on like the number position of the alphabet, it spells
Yeah,
out the message, he will return.
he will return. Yes.
And you could ask, what about Wonder Woman? Well, the rumor is Wonder Woman is going to be brought back using the Well of Souls, which is basically how like the Amazons came back, because the Amazons are like reincarnated women who are killed by abuse. That's like the part of the Amazons past that's not exactly like back. That's not exactly like, what's the word? It's not exactly like well known, but so they'll do that, and then she'll come back to fight Brainiac. So none of these deaths are permanent. Plus, Rocksteady even told us none of this is permanent.
No, it isn't. And to add more fuel to this, um, I know for a fact that this isn't the last we see not only of Batman but Superman, Green Lantern, because the Green Lantern construct was not taken down.
Like we said, yes, exactly. The Rocksteady could not have made it any more obvious that the Justice League is not really dead. It's just the thing is that I get why a lot of fans are like blinded by rage. I understand that. But the thing is, when you actually look at it, when you pay attention to the game, it basically could not have made it any more obvious that they are not dead. Even when you're exploring, King Shark will randomly comment, you notice how the Justice League was teleported away when we killed them. It's almost like Brainiac has a way to restore them.
And another thing, what if Brainiac is already using their hacking into, like, for example, Green Lantern's ring, because that's an option.
Well,
Green,
here's the thing. And on that point, when we kill Green Lantern, the ring does not behave like a regular ring. It's like King Shark's able to put it on. When they get the ring off of King Shark's finger, it like flies away. It doesn't fly away. It like falls off. So my thinking is that that's a fake Green Lantern ring meant to replicate the effects. Plus, when King Shark puts it on, he actually turns against the Suicide Squad.
exactly, yes.
So it's like this. They're telling you right there, all the times where you say that's not supposed to be. That's not how like the ring's supposed to function. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to think. There you go.
Plus, as well, like the cool thing about all these things, like what we're saying, it's just that it's adding more stuff to DLC going forward, right? When they bring back the Justice League,
Yeah.
because
On that, what's on the roadmap for season 1? 2 new boss battles that are Brainiacified Superman and Green Lantern. My theory on that I just came up with today is that
God,
Brainiac was like, the clones are not going to cut it. I need to use the real thing. So he puts Brainiac crap on Superman and Green Lantern. and then sends them out, the real Superman and Green Lantern, and then the battle will be us restoring them instead. We'll end up restoring them instead of killing them.
So you think we're gonna be restoring them throughout the seasons?
Yeah, exactly. Because why else would they replicate the boss battles of Green Lantern and Superman?
Well, here's the thing though, Jared. Brainiac is adaptable. He knows how to adapt, like the
That's my
Justice
point.
League.
That's my point because he's like, okay, so the clones don't work. So how about I use the real thing this time and like mind control them?
I don't
Obviously,
I don't see him doing that though. I really don't think that. I think he's gonna use more clones, but super powerful clones. So if you remember in the Avengers video game,
okay, that
like
name.
there was a thing called the Super Adaptoid, and he had the powers of Thor, Captain America, Iron
That's
Man.
true.
So he had all of those in one. But there were many versions of him in that raid. So
True.
it makes me think that when we do this fight for future for the Joker when the Joker DLC happens and when they bring them back, it's not going to be the main Justice League again. It's going to be another fake out.
The other thing that I could see is that to tease that that's just the real Justice League, they could even say we're receiving a strange SOS signal from Brainiac ships. Like somehow Batman broke out and is trying to like send an SOS to like Morse code or something like that. We pick
Yeah,
up on that, and then it's like, and then eventually the squad receives this message and goes, okay, you know what? Let's go. Now we can bring back the Justice League.
yeah. But as well, it's like but I also think that with Brainiac preserving the Justice League, I can see that being the case. Like, what if I just had a thought. What if the Wonder Woman from another Earth is also on Brainiac's ship, and she takes over the mantle of what Wonder Woman that died?
But here's the thing: you don't have to like replace Wonder Woman with a multiverse version because it's an easy way to bring her back in the Wonder Woman lore.
I I I guess so, but like you gotta remember, this isn't like what we think, right? They're not gonna use
Mhm.
like what the comics do, right? Like
Not
for example,
necessarily, but my point is they don't necessarily have to resort to like using a multiverse version of Wonder Woman because the thing is, I don't think they would do that because then it's still not the Justice League from this universe. That is even more of a fake out, in my opinion.
but you remember what happened with Lex when they traded him for Toother, as you call him.
Toother, Toother. See, that it's different because it's like that's the Arkham Justice League. Plus there's enough evidence that like it was clones. Plus Wonder Woman has come back throughout the universe because again they're establishing that Wonder Woman is a clone is the daughter of Zeus. So the gods could just restore it. In other words, there are many different ways they could bring her back that don't involve just replacing her with another Earth's Justice League.
Yep. I mean, only time will tell, though, Jared. Only time will tell
Yeah,
if your theory is obviously correct. But obviously, we know it's not the real Justice League, and we're gonna say this from now till the end of time: the Justice League that we fought is a Justice League, but not the Justice League that we fought in the main story campaign.
it's either a clone or a Justice League that Brainiac took from another Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So, so with that being said, though, make sure you guys, put in the comment section because this will be clipped out
Be
for part.
civil.
Be civil. Let us know what do you guys think about our theory for this, why we think it's not the real Justice League that we fought against in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and the real Justice League is still up in Brainiac ship. Let us know
Mhm.
your theories on that. So shall we switch gears? Shall we?
Sure.
What is next? Okay, let's talk about WBD gaming because that is a big, big, big topic. Where is it?
Hell yeah.
All right, WBD gaming. Now, Jared, have you read the Variety article?
No, I have not, but I'm interested to hear about it.
All right, in the Variety article, it goes over um inside WB Games' big live service push and double downing on DC Game of Thrones and more franchises. That's the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it basically goes over the fact that where is it? Uh, where David Haddad basically says there's a unique and important role games in keeping franchises relevant, resonant, and exciting because there are and people, uh, plenty of people consuming content where games are the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Two franchises WBD profited from in 2023 was Mortal Kombat 1 and Harry Potter's Hogwarts Legacy,
Obviously.
obviously. But it goes also saying I've doubled and triple checked some of the metrics here because it's such a great investment opportunity. And calling stunned, we haven't done invested more into this opportunity. We're going to start tackling that. That's what they said. But that's not only that. But when it comes down to the DC side of it, because this is what people want to um, this is what they say. Warner Brothers Discovery Global Streaming Gaming JP Parity, if I pronounce that right, if I pronounce that wrong, I'm sorry. It says he or she said, we want it to be always on. And the good news is gaming space is lending itself to it, lending itself to that. Sorry, and with a with the focus shifting from console and PC game with a 3 to 4 year release schedule for a good example, Warner Brothers mobile game Game of Thrones, and keeping TV franchises fresh in people's minds between seasons. Parrott says that the success of game meeting we consistently see um, what else we can do in the Game of Thrones or New House of Dragon. Well, that's what he talks about House of Dragon stuff.
Okay.
But when it comes down to the DC stuff, it says when it comes down to DC focused gaming offering, Parrott and David Haddad, said we'll be looking forward to new DC Studios James Gunn and Peter Safran, who have announced incorporated video games into revamping with moving forward. Frankly, there has been a close relationship between the studio and games business, as there have been. James is actually a gamer, so having something who's passionate about it is super helpful. Parrott says, adding the actively working on a core franchise within the DC universe. However, the plan isn't being religious about what they create across divisions. While they're working on a Superman movie, for example, then when they're not going to launch a Superman game purely because they feel obligated to.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do something that makes sense for gaming and strategically, and for the fans and for the consumer. So that is just what he says about the DC aspect. How do you feel about that?
I mean, yeah, I understand. What I like about it is the idea that they're saying we're not just going to make a game for the sake of making a game. We're going to make a game if the topic's appropriate and if we have a genuine idea. Because too many times, a lot of these projects feel like they're being crapped out, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't the best way to do stuff. It's not working clearly, and I also like how pretty much at least James Gunn confirmed he could change his mind again because he is James Gunn, that not
Yeah,
everything is going to plug into the DCU, because obviously that is that's too ambitious of an idea that would have had to have started before he even gets hired as head of DC. So essentially we're getting more we want. So it looks like we're going to get out of continuity stories and in continuity stories, which works because DC is versatile of a brand that you can do that. But once again, I just want to emphasize the part that really gets me is the fact that they're only going to make a game if if they have a solid idea. Which I'm like, you have many solid ideas for a Superman game.
Yeah, very solid ideas. And I'm still gonna put this out there. I still believe Warner Brothers Discovery are gonna push for a Superman game. They're not gonna leave him to languish out there. They know that he's been left to languish for a very long time across all media,
Yeah.
whether it's whether it's animation, video games, or movies for that matter.
Hmm.
They know that he's been left for languish. So of course they're not gonna say, oh, of course they're gonna say, well, we're not obligated to make it. I reckon they are making it, and I reckon it won't be set in the DCU, but I reckon it'll probably be it'll be done by a big enough studio to make it.
Hmm. I think so too.
I think maybe a WB Montreal, WB Games Montreal, maybe producing it, or another studio for that matter. There is a lot happening there, but time will tell uh for this and to see where James Gunn and Peter Safran does with WBD with their gaming division for the DC side of it, because this is
Hmm.
a big thing.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe we get a Green Lantern game out of this. That'd be
I'm
cool.
telling you, Green Lantern game that's a Mass Effect style RPG would be dope as hell, dude.
Imagine the Green Lantern game set takes place after the event of this TV show, and what would be really cool is the fact that it's a Mass Effect game, like you said, right?
Hmm.
And it's been developed by an in-house studio that we never thought would see happening.
Yeah, exactly. You could definitely do that. The thing is, how if it has to tie in, make sure it's a story that is like not essential. Because the problem that he could run into is that the whole homework problem, where like a lot of people are checking out the MCU because it's too much that they have to keep track of.
Yeah, but this is like we'll have to wait and see where James Gunn puts WBD Gaming into perspective
Hmm.
going forward.
I agree.
Now, um, okay, so that is the topic for WBD Gaming. So shall we talk about Superman legacies on the fact that we're talking about James Gunn? Now they've found their very own composer,
Which
Supergirl,
it was kind of
and
weird when
much
James
more.
Gunn said, "We don't have a composer, but we've written the music."
But they announced the composer though.
No, I know now they have. I was saying it was weird in the past when he said, "Yeah, we have the music written, we just don't have a composer."
Yeah, but they have a composer now.
Hmm.
So
Which
what do you
works.
think? What do you think about the composer?
I haven't. I don't think I've heard any of his work, but it's interesting to see everything fall in place for a movie that could end up being a tax write off.
I know he's done Guardians, the composer. He did,
Okay, so I probably have heard his work then.
yeah, he did Guardians of the Galaxy and maybe Brightburn. I'm not 100% sure,
Hmm.
but I know he's done Guardians, which is a big one. And the Suicide Squad film, yes, and that too, the Suicide Squad.
Oh boy. So all in all, he's done stuff that I haven't enjoyed. So there you go. But the thing, I mean, again, my thing is, I still doubt that this movie's actually gonna come out. I'm sorry. That's how Warner Brothers has conditioned me to believe.
Okay, what do you think about them announcing a full lineup of cast
Well,
and
that's
them doing?
cool. He's trying to drum up excitement for it, and I get it. My problem is like this is the same argument for with people that were like, why is Snyder introducing Aquaman and Black Adam? Well, not Black Adam, Aquaman and the Flash and Cyborg in a Batman versus Superman movie when we should have solo movies to set everyone up? And I'm like, where's this criticism now?
And furthermore, it's like this. I wonder how much screen time they get as well. That's something I'm really intrigued about.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, Superman Legacy is gonna be great.
Hmm. If it
That
comes out.
if it comes out, it might be great, or it might be an actual flop. It
Mm-hmm.
depends. It depends on how people see it. We haven't seen the suit yet. I hope we get to see the suit in next month, in March
Mm-hmm.
or April, because they are doing a sit down read, by the way.
Yeah, I saw
FYI.
that.
Yep. So they're doing a sit down read for the script. So in 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 a matter of a month, they'll be shooting, filming for the film. Um, Now, are we gonna get the trunks and no trunks? That's everyone's been talking about for months on end.
Yeah, that because that's a question. Because the issue with that, so here's the thing: Gunn has been very non-committal with that because he even, but the part that kind of gives me hope is that when someone said it's so simple to put the trunks on, he goes, actually, it's not. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I kind of get that. So in terms of like which way I think he'll go, honestly, I feel like it's either way because I want to believe that like Gunn recognizes that the trunks don't sell well on movies, but I also know that he could go for more of a classic feel. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think no trunks is the best option, really. I mean, something like what the Injustice universe had, with where it's modern, but it had no trunks and you had the
Mm-hmm.
yellow belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. They could do that, or they could do New 52 route, or they could do something where what Superman and Lois did, something like that with that
Mm-hmm.
design.
Yeah, they could. They could, or obviously again with Snyder, but it's really also yeah, because the trunks don't look good anymore. That's why, like, when you look at Snyder's Superman, he has been very open about the fact that they tried to put the trunks in with the suit for Man of Steel, and even he was like, I just couldn't figure out a way to make it look good. It just looked terrible.
Yeah, and for this day and age, yeah, I know people are in the latest comics they've put it back into the fashion, but for me it's like no trunks. Trunks Trunks is not a good thing for my superhero reading.
Me too. I don't think it works as well as people think it is. The only reason why people are so hard on the trunk are so want trunk so badly is for nostalgia purposes. That's really what
The
it is.
the only way it works if it's an Elseworld, like something like Kingdom Come, or something like um well, yeah, Kingdom Come or Red Sun. That that type of thing works, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not in the main continuity. No, it wouldn't work. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to
it
say.
really doesn't. It won't. And
So
honestly, I wish it could. I really do, but it just won't.
it just won't. Yeah. So shall we just talk about potential Supergirl?
Let's
Because
go.
the potential Supergirl in the Legacy film, right? Because they've casted Supergirl now. I don't know. I forgot her name now. Millie Alcock, I think her name is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think that's her name. So she is Supergirl. Now, obviously, the rumor was at the time that she was going to be in Superman Legacy, be part of the Superman family. Then James Gunn is shooting it down. He said, "I never said that." I'm, I'm just like, it's really confusing.
Well, James Gunn also said he'll never cast someone for someone else's movie, but you said she's not going to be in Legacy, and then you tell me that like and then add on to the fact that he said I'm never going to cast anyone unless we have a script. So how does
Which,
this work?
yeah, it's very confusing. Very, very confusing. So, like I said, Superman Legacy, though,
Let
we'll
me
have
put it
to
this
wait and
way:
see.
I want this movie to do well because I want DC
Yeah,
to have a win. And to be clear, I'm also a Snyder fan. So not all Snyder fans want this movie to collapse. What I'm saying is that my doubting this movie has really not that much to do with James Gunn. It's really of WB because WB will always screw stuff up, even the new
oh yeah.
regime. So I highly doubt it's going to come out. But if it does, I hope it does really well because then more people get into DC. Plus, if the DCU does well, this makes it also more likely that they could invest in Elseworlds, which opens up the door to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix and let Zack finish the story.
Yes. Yes.
Either way, I still say it happens, but I'm just saying there is a way that both fandoms get what they want.
Okay. So the next topic is Crisis movie part 1 and part 2 discussion.
Oh
But
boy, did I love this movie.
oh yes, so we talk about Crisis part 1 first, then we'll do part 2.
Let's go. So I just want to say one thing. So I remember you saw it first, and
Yes.
then I remember I was like DMing Britt. We were going over details for like a project we're working on or like the show. So then you DM me and go, Jared, you need to watch this movie. It's Earth 2, Superman and Wonder Woman are together, and Lois Lane died apparently in that part. So I told Britt, and Britt's like, "Don't play with me, Jared." And then we Googled it, and it turns out, yeah, they are like fully together. Which I'm like, I was watching the Twitter reaction to that, and that 40-second kiss between Superman and Wonder Woman was what most people were talking about during for the Crisis thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like um uh when I told Jared that Superman and Wonder Woman, and that really got him to watch the film. And then what adds more fuel to the fire is Superboy and Superman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was great. So okay, so for context, so what DC did is they released like a bunch of screenshots of the movie, and it's like, here's like our favorite moments. When they showed the Earth 1 Superman, the Prime Superman, they called him Superboy, which kind of implies that you're not Superman until you're with Wonder Woman.
And yes,
And yes, that is true. But I just felt that the disrespect and the savagery of that moment was like, oh wow, I'm loving this.
that was the disrespect was real.
It was
And
good though, because here's the thing: as Super Wonder fan, yes, I'll take the 40 seconds because we get so much, we get so little. So at this point, I have to accept what I can get.
yeah, and another thing too, this is obviously this film focused heavily on the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get the snippets like the Superman and Wonder Woman thing, that really knocks it out of the park. And mind you, it's the classic Superman suit, by the way.
It is. It is. And you know what's interesting? The trunks don't bother me so well in the Tomorrowverse, probably because they're not drawn to look like a separate piece of the costume. They're drawn to be part of the pants.
Yeah, compared to the Tomorrowverse Superboy, that one does not look good.
Superboy. Oh man, I still can't believe that that's how they labeled him. That's great.
Yeah, but essentially in the film Flash, it there was a whole like a time loop type of thing. It goes from one part of the film, one part of their life to another part of their life to basically set up the antimatter wave, which was coming. As you know, Crisis on Infinite Earths is basically based on the same book, Crisis on Infinite Earths, done by George. What's his name?
Marv Wolfman and George Perez.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, those two that did the comic. So it's based on that, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
They did it in a good way in the movie. Now, Jai, how did you feel about the Flash? Showing different times of his life and the Justice League assembling and all of
That
that.
was cool because we never got a chance to see that. What I liked, this movie basically implies that the DCAMU also happened. It canonized the DCAMU as well because it's like, you remember, it's first they show like they basically show Flashpoint. Then they also show John Constantine, who remembers I made Flash reboot the universe. So
Yes.
when I was watching that, I was like, okay, thank you. Again, this movie showed a lot of respect to the parts of DC that I love, and that's really rare that that happens, unfortunately. Thanks a lot, Tomasi.
But still, hey, at least this film was great to watch. I think um at least the one thing I could say about this film that really intrigues me was the fact that how the Flash and Irish, their longevity towards the end of their life.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that one too. They really played up the relationship between Iris and Barry, which I very much liked because they hinted at it in the tomorrow in the DCAMU, but they never really like showed it in the DCAMU. So I'm glad we got to see it.
Yes. So, like, what would you review this part one film before we move on to part two?
Solid 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10 because there were some good parts. The parts that I didn't really like is like making Supergirl the Harbinger character. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's a choice pick. And I'm like, I'm not really digging it. And I would have liked if, like, at the end of the movie, it showed like the anti monitor, like, as a hint. And then part two started with the anti monitor. But I guess they're not going with that.
No.
But all in all, pretty good. The other point I take off is because I like Nick from the Phoenix Press. I'm not the biggest fan of the animation and art style. Well, it's really the animation style because I can dig the art style. It's just the animation is like really, really, really stiff
Yes.
as
Which is
opposed to and I understand that because what Sam Lewis said on my channel is because the budget of these movies is like ridiculously short, so it's not like they have a choice.
right. Yes. For me, obviously, it's an 8.5 out of
Mm-hmm.
10. The half the point is because of Superman and Wonder Woman. That's the only reason it
Mm-hmm.
gets half the point, right? Other than that, like everything else, like the Flash story going between his life story with Iris, that was pretty cool. Um, the Batman meeting Robin, that was epic, and Huntress as well, and the
Mm-hmm.
Justice League formation, that was all cool. And Amazo has a big part in it, so that was epic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the one, like you said, the minus point is obviously Supergirl being Harbinger. That was a bit disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, so that's why I took off 1 point there. And then the second point obviously is no uh anti-monitor. But hey, we did get the Suit Crime Syndicate, so that was a
Yeah,
good thing.
I like that. I like the crowd. I like when the building's falling. So like Ultraman catches it, and you think it's to save people, but it's just to protect their like statues, and then he just pushes it over onto people.
Yes, yes, yes. So so shall we talk about part two, the teaser trailer?
Yes, we can, and it looks fantastic. Like really, really, really spectacular. It looks at the. My concern is that I hope they don't kill Earth 2 Superman because I'm like, I just got you. Don't go.
Don't go. But we did get to see Batman Beyond.
Yes, and the thing is, it's also I think it's a rumor or it may have been confirmed that Conroy is going to voice Batman in this.
In part two or part three, because remember there's three
Oh yeah,
parts.
yeah, yeah. Now, here's the thing, I believe it's part 3. Here's the other thing that's actually really interesting. Previous to Conroy being announced for Crisis, I had originally thought it's very like unlikely they'll bring back Will for Freddy to voice Batman Beyond. Now that I know that Conroy is going to be involved in this project in some way, I think that Will Freddy comes back to voice Batman Beyond in this.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did that.
So that's pretty cool. We'll have to wait and see when the film comes out. Do we know when the film is released?
Let me see. And by the way, I just DM'd Sam to ask him to come on the show for Red Sun. So more on that later. So All right, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 2, release date. Let me see. Release date animated. That would be. It just says mid 2024.
Mid 2024.
Yeah, so in the middle of this year. I know that all 3 parts of Crisis are supposed to release this year.
So something tells me either the next couple of months we'll get it. We'll get
Yeah,
the
most
next part.
likely. Most likely. And that'd be cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, and if Super Wonder does last in part two, that will just get Jared to buy part two again.
I gotta be honest. I love my favorite comment some Close fan made is that Superman and Wonder Woman kissed before Superman and Lois in the Tomorrowverse, and I'm like, I know
Yeah.
I shouldn't be petty, but screw it, I'm gonna be petty. I earned it.
Yes, you earned it. Yes. So that's a good way to um end it. So it's 41 to 50. All right, let's talk about comics for the last 10 minutes. What have you been reading? Let everyone know.
Okay, so I have a bunch of comics I've been reading because, again, it's my birth month, so I really went crazy at my local comic book store. So currently I'm reading right
Wait one
now the
second.
Suicide Squad Trial by Fire. It's basically the original Suicide Squad run by John
Yeah,
Ostrander. It's
yeah,
a lot of the inspiration for the James Gunn Suicide Squad came from this. I'm reading Batman Nightfall Part 2.
nice.
And I also got this epic, massive trade for the Warworld saga, which has the entire saga. It even includes all the Future State DC books. I got, obviously, the as we mentioned in the beginning, the Suicide Squad
Comic.
Kill Arkham Asylum series. 2 trades of classic Justice League. New 52 Men of War on Easy Company, which basically modern warfare, but in the DC universe.
Wow.
So, and again, Taladia, you know, I've always been emphasizing that I wish they would do something like that.
Yes.
And then I got Identity Crisis in single issues, Superman Transformed, which led to Electric Blue Superman,
No.
and then Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, the original, the Ms. Marvel years, because that's the only part that
Hey,
she was
that's not a
good.
DC. That's not a DC comic.
Okay, well, anyway, JLA Riddle of the Beast, which reimagines the DC universe as Lord of the Rings like characters.
Ah, nice, nice.
And
For me, I've
obviously,
been
single issues like Superman, Batman, Justice League versus Godzilla, which I'm enjoying.
yeah, same. I've been reading New 52 has just been my go-to place just to go back and read through that, and then I've been looking up stuff like Suicide. Obviously, reading Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League comic, and I'm also taking a look at um what else was there? Superman Lost, and reading the Superman 78 and Batman 89 continuity comics. I've been reading those as well.
That looks fun.
Yeah, that has been what I've been doing.
Oh, I also read the second part of Dark Knights of Steel, so I've read all of the DC Game of Thrones books, which are really good. Again, Tom Taylor on Elseworlds is great.
Yes. So, Jared, before we end the stream, let's let everyone know what you got coming up on your channel.
So Britt and I are talking about the like position of Superman and Wonder Woman as like the immigrant and the refugee. Why DC ignores it, and in terms of my commentary show, I may revisit my Steve Trevor is used on the problem with Steve Trevor topic, because the problem with Lois Lane video got like 1.1 thousand views, so and it got me a lot of subscribers, so I might as well revisit that. actually now 1.2. And in terms of Under Two Caves, I'm still figuring out. But in terms of movie night, we're going to be talking about Red Sun. And hopefully I can get Sam Liu on the show to discuss it because he was the director slash producer. So it's going to be really fun.
Yes. And I can't wait to ask him about how did he feel about getting Malfoy's dad as Superman.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it'll probably be Friday at 11 EST because that's like because he's in California, I have to adjust for like time zones and such.
Oh, oh man. I'll
You
talk
can
to you.
type out a question and I'll read it and stuff.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah, it's all good.
So as for me on my channel, guys, we have on my channel, which is at TeladiaPlays, you guys can expect the video, some of the clip outs that we've done for some of the parts that we've done for the podcast today will be uploaded. So, like for example, the why we think that it's not a real Justice League in the Suicide Squad Killer Justice League video game discussion. We'll talk about that. That video will be posted up next week, and also we'll be discussing. Well, I'll be doing a members stream, members panel, I should say. So members that are part of my channel, that are members, come onto the channel, and we just talk about anything and everything. Really, we just have a fun time and relax. And I also got collabs with Jay Heat coming up as well. So you guys want to check those out? Stay tuned because I will be tweeting those out on my Twitter, which is at TeladiaPlays underscore.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, Jared, any final words you want to say to the fans?
Well, I guess I could say Lois Lane is Lois Lane.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Peace.